Tom Clark's 6M podcast is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to Tom Clark's 6M podcast. I'm your host, Tom Clark. And in this episode, I'm joined by co-hosts Phil Lindsey and Ray Dean. Well, there's nothing like a sports movie. Am I right, kids? There's nothing like a sports movie. I got friends who don't care about sports. They'll watch a sports movie all day long. You want to know why? It's for the moments, man. It's for the moments of victory, for, the team coming from behind and, against all odds, and any number of other, cliches you can think of out there in the world of sports. And if you're a sports fan, you know what I'm talking about. Any number of great sports movies out there. And again, like baseball, for example, there's a lot of great baseball movies out there. I'm not a huge baseball guy, but Major League, I'm going to tell you something, man. Those Major League films, I know they're not exactly inspiring films or whatever. I will watch those movies all day. Well, part 1 and 2, I don't really have anything about part 3. And then they made like 9 others or some nonsense. I don't recall. But, Bull Durham's a great movie. There's other kind of sports movies, too. There's like Miracle. Man, we'll be here all day if I go through the list, man. There's a ton of great motivational sports films out there. Again, you don't have to like sports to enjoy a great sports film. And, buddy, the same is true for boxing. And if you know anything about boxing films, then you know all about the Rocky franchise. And today, we're talking about Creed. That's right, kids. And 10 years ago, as we record this, cannot believe it's been that long, the Rocky franchise found brand new legs in a hot young actor and a director who is going to become a force to be reckoned with, as if he wasn't at the time this movie was made, right? But man, that combo is still going strong today. I can't wait to talk about it. Lots to cover here about this film today. So let's don't waste any more time. Let's get to it. Creed is a 2015 American sports drama film directed by Ryan Coogler, who co-wrote the screenplay with Aaron Covington. It is the first spin-off and is the 7th installment, how you like that, in the Rocky franchise. It stars Michael B. Jordan and an ensemble cast of actors. Some great stuff happening in this cast. And again, can't wait to get into it. In this film, amateur boxer Adonis Creed, trained by Jordan, is trained and mentored by Rocky Balboa himself. Yes, kids, that's right, Sylvester Stallone, the former rival turned friend of Adonis's father, Apollo Creed. As we said, this thing was released 10 years ago this year in 2015, November 25th to be precise, 2015, so it's almost 10 years old. Running time was 133 minutes. The budget for this film was around $35 to $40 million. The box office for this film was $173.6 million. And that is your lowdown on Creed. Phil, we will start with you here today. We talked a little bit off mic before we hit the record button about the last time you've seen this movie, and you mentioned about the sequels. Looking back on this film, Phil, 10 years after the fact, I was going to ask you how this thing holds up. That's a silly question. What's your thoughts about this movie 10 years later?
I think it's aged incredibly well. I think that it's one of the best movies that Coogler and Jordan made together. There's just so many great things that Coogler does as the director in terms of the storytelling and just choices he makes with camera angles. You can see that like in the final act a lot in the fight scenes. Like it feels like a Rocky fight scene, but also he adds so many things that makes it look fresh, like the way the blood spills on the mat and like the mopping the blood and just like certain angles that he did that make it look great. I mean, even from the start of the movie, when Kid Donnie is in jail and Marianne comes in to meet him for the first time and she is disarming him and they do that close up of his fist opening. That's just such a smart choice for a director.
Oh, dude, 100%. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Coogler, we've put this guy over a bunch, Phil. We just covered Sinners here on the 6M. We talked about him before on our episode about the Black Panther. I mean, Phil, I truly believe this guy is like one of the hottest directors right now in the business, if not the hottest. And he and Jordan, Phil, what do you think makes these two guys working together so special?
I mean, he's brought great performances out of Jordan, but I think it's also that Coogler knows how to get people to connect with these characters. This movie doesn't work if you don't connect with Adonis.
Hmm. Yeah, great call. So, Ray, this is not technically a Rocky film, but it is from the Rocky universe. Same franchise as we said at the beginning of the show here today, continuation. Ray, what is it about this movie, in your opinion, that makes this movie work? And in terms of it being in the Rocky universe, how does it fit as well as it does?
It fits perfectly because the storyline with his relationship with Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, I think it just kind of just gels so perfectly. You don't have to force it. It kind of came natural. And the way that he came across in the first movie, how he approached, Rocky, for mentorship, etc. It just felt very natural. It didn't seem like it was forced. It didn't seem like it was like a forced kind of blotchy situation. It looked very authentic, and maybe that's due to the director itself. But like I said, it just kind of like it looked like just almost like Rocky 6 from the original series. It was just another piece of the pie, so to speak.
So I'm glad you brought that up because, the way Rocky 5 ended, oh man, we don't have to talk about it. But, you know, they came back, Phil, with Rocky Balboa. And man, Stallone was very happy with how that turned out. I'm a big fan of that movie, by the way. I think that thing's, Phil, can I say it's underrated? I mean, did it get its flowers? I thought that was a really good movie.
Yeah, I think Rocky Balboa is a good movie. Five left such a bad taste in people's mouths.
Mm.
So it was good that at least Stallone got a chance to come back and get a second chance at righting the ship and leaving a lasting legacy for Rocky as a character. Um, yeah, and I mean, I think the other thing that Coogler does well, thinking on like when you said like how does this connect with the other Rocky movies, is he's very good at getting like colloquialisms and regional stuff to feel authentic. This feels like it legitimately took place in Philadelphia. The stuff that happens in California early in the film feels like California. So you can feel the culture shock of him coming from California to Philadelphia.
Man, dude, you're totally right. Like that different, like that change of scenery, different pace in Philly, right? Like, and what I really liked, and Ray, to Phil's point about how the scenery change, what I really liked is that when he gets the fight, the big fight for the end of the movie, that we didn't spend the whole movie going on the press tour. We didn't spend the whole movie with the cameras and the paparazzi in his face. We didn't spend the rest of the movie with ESPN every 2 seconds. Like, and in that way, we focused more on the characters, and I found that to be a good change of pace. And I thought it helped build the characters up as we got to the main event of the film, Ray.
100%. It was like, again, it just felt very natural, and how he was training and how he was in Philadelphia getting a Philly cheesesteak, and they just made it very just authentic. Like, to Phil's point, it just felt like just a natural progression, and like he was naturally meant to meet Rocky and try to get his just deserved due in the boxing arena. It was very good.
I thought so too, yeah, for sure. And I love how the character of Balboa wanted nothing to do with this, and in real life, Stallone wasn't interested in doing this, and basically Coogler had to talk him into it, and I'm sure he's glad he did. But Ray, I can't imagine sitting there with like Coogler sitting there and just basically being amped up and just hype with a great idea, and a great new direction. I mean, how do you say no to that?
You can't. Like, I don't understand. I understand there was probably some concern that there was going to be some like kickback from the real true diehard Rocky fans, but to me, they kept the authenticity of Rocky. They didn't change his character. They didn't make him into a completely different person. So, I thought it was just done really well. The whole Rocky persona was still there. The slurs, the way he talked, the way he presented himself.
Mm.
was the same. He didn't all of a sudden just become a completely different character where you're like, this isn't Rocky. What are we watching?
Yeah, and Phil, we don't have to get political, but Stallone's political leanings are not I'm not a big fan of, if I'm being real. But, I don't think we could overstate what a good actor this guy is, man. Like the understated performance as Balboa, when he's just very quiet and very humble. And I mean, Phil, this guy feels like a retired boxer. He feels like the real deal all the way through this movie, doesn't he?
Yeah, I this might be a bold statement, but I would venture to say that Coogler brought out one of the best performances in Stallone of this entire series. I think just like
Hmm.
the range that he showed throughout the movie was incredible. I mean, just from like you said, the quieter moments early in the movie, to when he gets the diagnosis that he has cancer, and the way that he acts throughout that montage is fantastic. But also, I really appreciate that not just felt like a seasoned boxer. We got to see what made Rocky Rocky, because the thing that I did started not to like about the last three Rocky films is they kept like making Rocky feel stupid, and he wasn't stupid. Like
Hmm.
he wasn't like smart, but he had street smarts, and he was a he was a boxer that was a champion. So this is his expertise. This is what he's knowledgeable about. And so all of the advice he was giving Donnie throughout the movie, it all hit because we followed Rocky through his entire journey. Like when they're sitting down at the presser and he says, "All right, man, the fight starts here. He's going to come in and get on you right away," because he's been here. He's been in all of these pressers with all of these other like ranges of wild Rocky villains. So he's seen it all.
Yeah, so it's a good call. And guys, Stallone thought maybe Rocky should die in this movie. And
Really.
man, when I saw this for the first time in the theater, I thought they were going to kill him. Like, I mean, show of hands, Ray. Do you think Rocky should have died in this movie?
No, but I thought he was too. I thought they were going to kill him when he was diagnosed with cancer. I thought they were going to end it with him passing away, and Adonis, leaving, as champion, or just leaving on a positive note. But yeah, I'm glad they didn't, because look what came afterwards. But yeah, it definitely was something that I was reading rumors that they were going to kill him off, and like I said, when I first saw it the first time, I thought, oh wow, that's a really sad way to end Rocky. But no, thank God they didn't.
I mean, I thought that they saved it really nicely when Adonis tells him, "You fight, I fight." It's freaking great. It's great. You know what I mean? Like you got to fight this. If you fight this, I'll fight. Like I'll keep going, but you have to keep going. Like I think that's a great way to save it. Kind of reminds me of the Harrison Ford bit where he thought Han Solo should have died a long time ago. He should have died in Empire. Is what Ford thought. And they're like, we can't just kill Han Solo, man. What are you, crazy? But he's like,
Well,
his story's over. There's nothing left to tell.
well, he got his wish eventually.
Of course. Right? But like, I guess you could make the argument, guys, that, Rocky's story was over in this movie. And it was kind of cemented by the fact that he goes to the cemetery with a folding chair and talks to his friends and family who are no longer here. And he tells Adonis in the movie that everybody's gone. Like, I got nobody now, Man, when he tells him he has no family, that was absolutely cold blooded. And I like the character didn't mean it that way, I'm sure, but man, that you talk about kicking a man in the teeth, Phil. That was hard to watch again, dude.
Yeah, I thought that scene was great because Rocky had given up, and that's not what we know Rocky to be. The whole story of Rocky is that he's not a guy that would give up. And like seeing him old and bitter and broken in this way and not willing to fight, um, I think that it wouldn't have made sense with the story they were trying to tell if Rocky died, because the whole point of this movie is what is Donnie fighting for? Like that's the through line for this entire movie. So when he convinces Rocky to not just train him, but there's more to live for. There's more to fight for. If he just died, it would have defeated that entire purpose.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I find it funny that Stallone was 69 when this film was released, the same age that Burgess Meredith was when the first Rocky came out. Like, not quite the same thing, gentlemen. Like, they're,
I
and,
mean,
right?
yeah.
Like,
But that's what makes him in this movie also so great because you see certain things that he does that are very similar to Mick. Of course, like using his training techniques, but towards the end of the movie when he has the hat on like him, it feels like he's
mm,
like progressed into the master now. He's like the sensei.
mm-hmm. That's a good point. And rest in peace, Burgess Meredith. Freaking icon for sure. Love that guy. But yeah, and as Phil said, Ray, that there's like a natural evolution, of the characters here, where Rocky is like going into that role of trainer, even though he didn't want anything to do with it, but the role of trainer, the role of mentor, the role of coach. Ray, we have seen sequels in the past where the same bits just play out, but they're just going to do them over with a new character. And that's what we're seeing here in this movie. But for some reason, this does not feel like a ripoff to me, where it felt like it has in other sequels to other franchises. Did you at any point, Ray, feel like, oh, they're doing that? Well, they've done this before, or did you just kind of go with the story?
I felt like a lot of the training was even though it was kind of like Mickey's type of training, it was still different,
Mm.
and the way that he prepared him for the fight was a little different. I mean, it had that Mickey, vibe. So I get where you're coming from, but I still thought, it was original in a lot of aspects of it, and to see Rocky in this different light, not being the challenger or the underdog trying to win, helping Adonis, the up and comer, being the trainer, being the mentor. That was just a way more interesting angle, and it put Rocky in a different light. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, same. And the extended shots in this film, because we can't go too much farther without mentioning this. The extended shots in this film were fantastic.
Yes.
Because man, you can't take your eyes off the screen when you're going through the extended shots, can you?
Yeah. Coogler's just such a great director. He
Oh
makes
man.
so many great choices.
Mm.
That the scene where he is running up the street and they do the version of the score for the movie with the Meek Mill's verse on it, and he's got like the guys on the bikes riding behind him. That could have easily felt hokey and too on
Yeah,
the nose for Philadelphia, but it works because of how well it was shot.
for sure. And like, you don't put him up the steps with the statue, because that would have been too on the nose.
Yeah, the entire thing felt very unique to Donnie. This felt
Yeah.
like Donnie's story. It didn't feel like Donnie taking on all of these things that made Rocky great.
Yeah. And we mentioned Jordan already, kids. You know who we're talking about, the star of the show. And of course, Stallone is here. Back, of course, is Rocky Balboa. And, Talia Shire, not in this film, guys, just as she was not in part 5. And really didn't, let's see. Yeah, she's still with us. She didn't want anything to do with coming back to these movies. It's her choice. But, it does change the character of Rocky quite a bit, as we saw in the previous movie. So, again, we had moments of him speaking to her here. That way, you had some connective tissue still left. Let's talk about Tessa Thompson. And Tessa, she is one of my favorite actresses, Ray. I love her in the MCU. I think she's a great fit here as Bianca Taylor. We've seen what she did throughout the franchise. Ray, why, in your opinion, in terms of chemistry, why does it work so well with her and Jordan here?
I just feel they both seemed like they were on the same page during the whole movie, even though obviously, it's scripted and they've rehearsed it, but it just felt like it just came very natural. They look like they belong together. They look like they've been, you know, with each other for years. It just, like I said, it was a very smooth, very nice kind of vibe between the two of them. So I don't think you could find somebody better.
I think she's great. Phil, how is it? And this could take a long time, because there's a lot of parallels you could probably draw in between, Adrian and Rocky's relationship, and also with, Donnie's relationship with her. But I think of this more as a support system, Phil, than I do of like Donnie's the big jacked up hero and she's kind of the damsel in distress. That doesn't feel like this. She's a very independent woman and it's more like a support system than it is anything else.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, they do this parallel with a bunch of the characters in the movie
Mhm.
with him, where he's trying to figure out what is it he's fighting for, why does he want to be a fighter, and to have the parallel of meeting someone that is losing their hearing but they still want to sing because this is what I've always wanted to do and it makes me feel alive. I think that inspires him.
Yeah, for sure. And I just love the way they gel together. It's just very cool. I love how they both end up in the MCU. Pretty cool. Yeah, Valkyrie and Killmonger. So there you go.
Boink Studios is the home of Tom Clark's Main Event, Tom Clark's 6M podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Visit the site today for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Check out the site and bookmark today, boinkstudios.com.
Again, I think that part of the reason this franchise works as well as it does is because of the dynamic between these two characters. And I love that she calls him on his BS and won't let him off the hook. And, kind of makes it known, I'm glad you're here. I like you and let's fall in love and stuff, but I don't really need you. Like, you know what I mean? Like she could have went the rest of the movie and had they never hooked up and she would have still been fine. But it was obvious there was a thing happening for her. But I just love how she was so independent of the whole thing. But then Rocky ends up getting her overseas for the fight in the end. Is that believable, by the way? Does she go all the way over there after being so upset at him?
Of course it is. I mean,
Yeah.
because I mean, from the second they meet each other, he's very different with her.
Mm.
I mean, you see it in like all of the training scenes. He's so brash and like he has this chip on his shoulder everywhere else he goes. Like he's picking fights with people constantly. But with her, he's so much softer. I mean, he was braiding her hair at one point.
That's right. That's right. Good call. Yeah. Strong woman. Another strong woman in this movie is Felicia Rashad. I'm so glad she came back to play Marianne Creed. We don't see her a whole lot, but that opening sequence when she goes and meets, Creed's other biological kid for the first time. I mean, that's, by the way, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Do we know, because I am totally drawing a blank on part two for whatever reason. Did the character of Apollo have another? He did, didn't he?
What do you mean?
Have another kid?
Oh, he had a daughter.
He had a daughter.
That's right.
Well, are you?
Blank on that?
Yeah, because of course he had his kids with Marianne,
Sure.
but then Donnie is his illegitimate son.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't remember the kids with Marianne bit. I just, for some reason, I blanked on that. So,
Yeah, I'm pretty certain like they referenced them in the original Rocky movies. They don't show them very much in the Creed franchise. But I'm pretty certain he has other kids. I could be wrong.
And Carl Weathers were still with us for the other Rocky films. And like I get killing him off. I mean, I get it for the sake of the character of Rocky and you're telling this big story, but I don't know. Like, I kind of wanted to see him here in some sort of weird, a dream sequence or something. I guess that would have been way too hokey. But Ray, we did recently lose Carl Weathers, so rest in peace to him. But what a presence he was in those first Rocky films, man.
Yeah. I was surprised that they killed him off in the third one. I was kind of like, the fourth one. I felt like he could have added a lot of value, but then, what do you do with Adonis with Rocky? So I guess, there was a reason for everything, but it's kind of weird that he didn't last longer. But yeah, like you said, it would have been really hokey if Carl Weathers was, sending him messengers, or you see him from the beyond saying, "Hey, you got this, son. You got this." It just been like a little too much. It'd been a little too much.
Show him up in heaven with Abraham Lincoln and an alligator. Everybody get that?
Yeah, of course. Happy Gilmore, fantastic movie.
I mean, I always hated that they killed Apollo. I never liked it.
Yeah.
But you couldn't put him in this movie because the entire point here is his absence is felt. His absence is felt
Mm.
throughout the movie. And all of the smaller scenes, like when you see pictures of him on a wall, his absence has to be felt because all of these other people in this universe like know this guy and Donnie doesn't know anything about it. That's about him. That's part of his story is that everybody else knows this guy and all of these other people have these stories of him, but he has nothing. He has no memory of him.
Mm. Phil, did it become too formulaic with the franchise where, you know, Mickey had to die, then Apollo had to die. Like who else dies after that? Like, you know what I mean? Did it become a little too much at one point, you think?
I don't think that it did because I mean, like Mickey's death was supposed to make a specific point with Rocky that
Mm.
he was he had he gotten cocky. He had lost like his hunger. He had lost what made him Rocky in the first two movies, and I think he learned a lesson with Mickey's death. And it's the same thing with you know the rest of his family and losing his wife, losing his best friend, and he says at the beginning of this movie, man, time is undefeated. Time comes for us all. And so, I don't think it was like, oh, let's just kill somebody in the most contrived way, like they're getting murdered. This was all, for the most part, it just seemed like these characters just got older and they passed on.
Yeah. Well, Clever Lane might have had something to do with Mickey, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember back. Didn't he push him down or
pushed him.
something?
He
Yeah.
pushed
yeah.
him.
But didn't he have like a heart attack or something? It wasn't
Yeah,
because of
I
the
think
push.
No, he was having heart issues.
Yeah.
Remember when he was having that amateur wrestling boxing thing with Hogan? He had with chest pains.
Thunder
And
lips.
Thunder lips.
Jesus. Yeah. Well, what happened to Rocky? Same thing happens to all of us. He just didn't have the eye of the tiger, and he had to go find it. And part of it, maybe you had to go running on the beach with Apollo with those knee-high socks, but like had to find it, man. Once you find it, you're good. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's all that mattered. He found it. Well, just like with the other Rocky films and the Creed movies, we have real life boxers mixed into this movie, kids. Namely, the guy that portrayed really Adonis's, the main event guy here, Pretty Ricky Conlon, which I can't say without thinking about Ron Killings. Just can't do it. Pretty Ricky, I swear to God. But this is Anthony Blue, and he is great. Love the voice. May not be the best actor you've ever seen, but man, when he's on point, he's on point. He is a former 3-time ABA heavyweight champion. That is the Amateur Boxing Association of England. He's the real deal. And of course, he portrayed this character in the films Creed and Creed Part 3. Again, real deal. So, Ray, we said this guy's not technically an actor. He is a former pro boxer or former boxer. But I just think that adds to the weight of the role. And I viewed him to be a legitimate, like, tough guy in this movie. What did you think about him in this film, Ray?
Yeah, you didn't have an actor trying to portray or give that vibe that he is a boxer. This is a legit boxer. And if you also know, Andre Ward, who's a former champion, was in this movie, and he's as legit as you get. So you have two, and Andre Ward is a world champion in like 3 different divisions. So you have 2 world-class boxers in this movie. So the authenticity is fantastic in this, and that's has to go with the director again.
Yeah, and he actually Ward portrayed Stuntman, Danny Stuntman Wheeler. So yeah, good stuff. And Phil, as we're saying here, man, like the fact that you have real boxers mixed in, this gives some credibility to the fight scenes, makes them feel more real, adds a weight to it that they wouldn't have had everyone just been an actor and learned off camera. I mean, I think that's one of the things that makes the movies in this franchise always stand out against other boxing films out there.
Yeah. There's just visual choices that he made as well that I think were really cool. Like every time there's another boxer that is sizing Creed up, they show his stats next to him and show what is his ranking. and the way they do it is so cool. So when we finally do see Coughlin, and he's already got this aura of him because they've showed him multiple times throughout the movie, and so when they show him and writing big letters, #1 pound for pound boxer in the world, it feels like a big deal.
Yeah, it does. Oh, it's so cool. I love that, like you said, a visual choice, especially when Stuntman stepped into the gym and,
Yeah. Yeah, when he beat that jobber guy, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
Wheeler comes in and like big emphatically #2 pound for pound boxer in the world. And boy, when he gets in there with Donnie, you can tell the difference right away. I mean, the first few punches, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. And lost that Mustang,
I
dude.
was gonna say he lost the car, right?
Oh, man. Yikes. And by the way, the gold medal that he shows off in the HBO promo scene, that's actually his gold medal. So how cool is that? He won the light heavyweight gold medal at the 2004 Summer Games in Athens.
I didn't know that. That's cool. I thought all of the HBO sports stuff looked great as well. There's a scene where you can hear it from somebody's TV, and then it cuts in and the audio changes as well. Really cool.
Yeah, that's this is a game that ESPN, the guys at ESPN have played for years now, where they'll get involved in these movies. But like, Kellerman was there. I'm not a big Kellerman fan. I'm just not. Yeah, I remember back in the day he jumped from ESPN. Where did he jump to from ESPN? Because he used to host Around the Horn. He jumped from that network to somewhere else, and it kind of came out of the blue. And I can't remember now where he went to.
Well, he jumped all the way up to First Take with Stephen A. And then, well, he's not on ESPN at all. He had his own show after that, and he's been kind of quiet since then. I know he did a lot of boxing commentary before that, but yeah, since First Take and that other show didn't do as well, you don't hear much of Max Kellerman anymore.
No.
Didn't he move back to LA?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, I think he was doing sports radio in LA last time I heard.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's not on TV on like a national level. That's what I mean by quiet. I mean, relatively quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, we've mentioned Donnie's name. The character's name is Adonis. Very cool touch that his dad is Apollo and he is Adonis. I love that they stuck to the Greek mythology. It's another nice little touch that gets by you very quickly. And then you're like, wait a minute, hold on. Let me go back and connect the dots. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I love all the connective tissue between him and Apollo, and the fact that he doesn't even understand what any of it means. I think that adds so much to his story. I mean, just the idea that he doesn't have to do any of this. I mean, at the beginning of the movie, he has a good job. He got promoted, and he's just like, I don't belong here. I don't know why I don't belong here, but I don't belong here.
And they stuck with the branding because Delphi Boxing Academy in LA, which isn't real, is advertised as the home of Apollo Creed. Delphi is a site in Greece that was dedicated to the god Apollo after he was said to have slain a dragon there. And in Liverpool, Adonis Creed stays at the Adelphi Hotel. So yeah.
All
which
great
is
touches.
Right? It's a variation on the name meaning place of the brothers.
Yeah, I love that when he immediately goes in there because he just knows he wants to fight. He doesn't understand why everybody wants nothing to do with him. He goes in there and they're like, no, I'm not training you. Nobody's going to train you. His mother basically is like, listen, if you fight, you can basically count me out of that. I don't want nothing to do with it because all of them lost something. They lost, this guy that they held to such esteem. And even when he first meets Rocky doesn't say it, but you could feel Rocky's guilt the entire time they're talking like, your dad should be here having this conversation with you.
So I'm glad you brought that up because he brings up in the film that he should have threw the towel in for Apollo in Rocky IV. Should he have thrown the towel in?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Every time I watch that movie, I'm like, bro, what are you waiting for? Throw that towel in.
Even though he's telling him no, Ray, should he still have thrown it in?
He was getting the bejeebies beat out of him. I don't understand. I'm like, I'm watching and he's getting hit after hit.
Right.
Like, are you going to throw in the towel? What are you doing? I get the loyalty. I understand what he promised to Apollo, but how many lumps you want this poor dude to take? That was brutal. I was like,
Man.
I threw the towel in.
Oh.
I was watching it. I grabbed the towel from the kitchen, threw it. I was like, this is horrible.
Man, I was a young man when that movie came out, and I cried. Oh, I was upset when he died, man. Like, oh, it was bad. I cried when Mickey died too. These movies grab you, man. Maybe it's a guy thing, gentlemen. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know if women sit around and cry at Rocky films or not. But man, this stuff will get to you.
Well, I don't remember dying when Apollo died. At several points through this movie, I cried because Donnie's story is so relatable, man.
Yeah.
And just everything he's attempting to accomplish in this movie, what he's fighting for. Early in the movie, where, like I said, Marianne comes and talks to him and disarms him and takes him home. That was very poignant to watch. But I don't care how many times I've seen this movie. When he's sitting there in the corner and Rocky's like, I'm going to stop this thing. I didn't stop it for your father, but I'm going to stop this thing. And he's like, no, you can't. I need this. He was like, why? He's like, because I'm not a mistake. Every time he said that, I cried.
So
Every
good.
time.
Oh my God, it's so emotional, dude. You're totally right. Yeah, I'm not a mistake. Like, I'm not fighting for revenge. I'm not fighting for ego. This isn't about I'm tough. I got to prove I'm not here by accidentally. I belong. I fit. Yeah, huge. Yeah, that is huge. I can't not enough good things to say about just how great Jordan is in this movie and how everything came together and how everything just worked. And I love that the character of Adonis is relentless. He will not let up on Rocky. Calls him Unc from a distance, and he's like, "What'd you call me?" And he's like, "Well, it's either Unc or OG."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, I guess
yeah.
Unc."
It's just so many great, man, just such a great story beat. Like I said, for him, where he came from, his dad isn't here because he wouldn't throw in the towel for his dad. He was not going to let Rocky throw on the towel on life. What a great parallel. What a great callback. I don't know if other people picked that up, but that's his whole point. I'm not going to let you just quit.
Yeah. That's really good. Ray, he crushes it here, and the parallels that are here, I think, Ray, is they're layered and textured throughout this movie. I think that's part of the things that makes this work. Ray, did you buy into Adonis, like, immediately gravitating toward Rocky? Did you at any point think he would confront him about what happened with his dad? Because I'm assuming that Marianne would have been blunt with him and through the years and said, look, your dad refused to quit. Like, everybody can blame Rocky, but the fact is your dad did not want him to throw the towel in. Because I imagine that's what happened at some point.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I felt like I thought there was going to be a scene there where he said, "Why didn't you save my dad? Why didn't you save my dad?" But he didn't. I think he kind of realized that he, had this bond with his father that, couldn't be broken. He gave his word that he wasn't. And, he just very comfortable with Rocky. And, when he introduced him to his girlfriend at the time, and he was like, "Yeah, Unc, I'm staying with you. And where we're going to crash at." And he was like, Rocky's looking at him like, "Unc, staying with me? What are you talking about?" It was just funny. And those two just had a connection. It was great. And I was hoping there wasn't going to be a lot of animosity towards Rocky. I thought, I didn't want to see him portrayed as, the guy that didn't help his father and he hated Rocky and he was just out to, tarnish his name. It was more like he was looking for him as a mentor. He was looking for, in essence, a father because, he didn't have one.
I did not notice this until I've watched the movie multiple times. But I think as the viewers, we don't understand what makes Apollo special until later in the franchise, because the first time we see him, he's just this unbeatable obstacle. He's like this mythical figure. And it's interesting that Donnie is kind of in our same place as viewers. He only knows him as this mythical figure that he never met. Everybody's telling him how great he is. He's one of the greatest boxers he's ever met. That's ever fought. But even at the beginning of the movie when he's watching Apollo and Rocky fight, he's not mimicking his dad. He's mimicking Rocky because he connects with this guy that is down to earth, that is still here, that has this story. He connects with his story of being an underdog.
Well done. Yeah, I love that. Again, more connective tissue. By the way, Phil, it is Apollo the Muhammad Ali of this universe, I guess.
Well, yeah, if you know the story of like what Rocky was inspired by, it was the fight with that guy that went the distance with Muhammad Ali. Now, of course,
Yeah.
in the actual fight, that guy doesn't stand a chance against Muhammad Ali. He lasts one really good round against Ali, and then Ali proceeds to destroy him for the rest of the fight. But it's just this myth of this guy that went toe to toe with Ali at that time, and that's what ended up inspiring the Rocky character.
I have seen those fights more than just the Ali fight. That dude, I can't remember his name. That dude was tough as nails. Like, he just wouldn't go down. And it's like, I can totally see why that was an inspiration.
Yes.
But yeah.
I mean, and, of course, race debates at that time. Ali being Ali, and like, people, Italians feeling like, oh, this guy, he's not so great.
Right. The whole bit, is it from Raw where Eddie Murphy's doing the bit about Italians outside the theater when they see Rocky?
Yes.
Oh my
I
God.
can't repeat certain parts of it, but yes.
You must have just saw Rocky.
Yeah. Listen, little tiny white man. So good. Oh, man. Yeah. Great movie. Tom Clark's 6M podcast is sponsored in part by Radius Law Group. Every day, Radius helps individuals, families, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations throughout North Carolina, Florida, and Pennsylvania resolve their legal issues by providing effective legal counsel in the areas of estate planning, as well as elder law and Medicaid. Radius Law holds the radical belief that working with a lawyer can indeed be enjoyable. So give them a call at 1-800-519-5667 for more information and tell them that Tom Clark's 6M podcast sent you. Again, like, can't say no good things about the cast. And speaking of the cast, as we said before, there's some real people here. I don't mean real kids, you know what I mean? I mean real as in actual real, people. We mentioned Andre Ward here as Danny Stuntman Wheeler. Gabriel Rosado is here portraying Leo the Lion Sperino. He is a light heavyweight boxer. So that's a real guy. Jacob Stitch Duran. If you know anything about boxing, you've seen this guy in the ring for years. He is probably the most well-known cut man in boxing, honestly. And he was actually the cut man in a previous, was it Rocky V, I guess, for Mason the Line Dixon. One of the greatest boxing names of all time is Mason the Line Dixon.
Jesus Christ. I believe you mean Rocky VI, right?
Yeah, Rocky Balboa. Yeah. Don't cross the line, right?
Mason the Line Dixon.
Dude.
Oh my God. Mason the Line.
No, I'm just saying, Les Schreiber voices on HBO, an HBO 24/7 announcer, which I did not know.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Buffer, of course, because he's in every boxing movie at this point, cameos himself serving as ring announcer. We also see Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon of Pardon the Interruption, Hannah Storm, Max Kellerman, as we said before, and Jim Lampley, who's been a boxing, mainstay and fixture for years and years and years. So that's pretty cool. I love when we have real people kind of peppered in here and there. So that's nice touch. Again, it just adds credibility to it. I missed Apollo's trainer in this movie. Remind me, was he in part 2?
Well, I believe the actor that played Duke passed away, didn't he?
Did he? Because for some reason I thought he was in part 2. Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Come on, Wood Harris?
No, the actor that played Duke in the original Rocky movies, Apollo's trainer that eventually starts training Rocky.
Right.
Yes,
yeah.
he passed away.
There you go. Yeah. God, what a great actor. And in those movies, he was fantastic too.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the Duke, who was a character in Rocky V. Tony, Duke ever.
Oh
It's
my-
a different character, which is also funny because the real life actor's name is actually Tony.
Ah, there you go.
It's Tony Burton is who it's talking about.
Yeah, yep, there you go. Tony Burton, yeah, who portrayed Duke. He died shortly after the film's release, and Burt Young, who portrayed Polly, passed away in October of 2023. This was actually the first movie in the series to not feature the characters of Polly and Duke Evans, and the second to not feature Talia Shire as Adrian. So yeah, we are definitely moving on with this franchise. And again, we've got parts 2 and 3, which we'll probably cover here on the 6M at some point. But like, I just love that, Ray, in this day and age of reboots and let's bring back the cast, let's put the older rock bands back on the road. Let's, everything's nostalgia these days. But I love that, the Creed movies managed to give us that while also continuing the story. And man, if you can find that formula, Ray, and put that in a bottle, you'll make $1 billion, because it's hard for most of these franchises to actually successfully do that and make it work. But Ray, somehow, how, and in your opinion, how did they accomplish that with the Creed films, especially starting with this one?
Because they kept the storyline authentic. They didn't change a lot of it. They kept a lot of the core characters. And the movie was featured around Adonis and Rocky in pretty much most of the movie. There's other people obviously that have a lot of time within the movie to show what they've got. But at the end of the day, it wasn't so like unauthentic where I was like, who is this character? Where did this person come from? Why is this person in the movie? Where did they develop this character from? It just seemed like, it kind of just gelled really naturally.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, Phil, they found a way to make it work, because a lot of franchises out there can't seem to do what this one did. Was there any doubt for anybody right now? Like, not that you thought it was going to not be a good film, but like, was there any trepidation from anybody? Like, oh, I don't know. How do you go back into this formula again? How can you make it work? Like, Phil, did you have any sort of, we'll just wait and see, anything like that before going into it?
When it was first announced, I was like, I don't know. I don't know how this works. But after I saw the first trailer, I was like, oh no, this actually looks excellent.
Yeah.
I thought it exceeded expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with you, Ray, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be very hokey. Said this is going to be kind of like a fake Rocky. But no, after seeing the trailer and seeing what it was all about, it wasn't about Rocky. It was about Adonis and his story and his journey. And I felt like it was a completely different movie. It was part of the Rocky, series, so to speak, but it was a completely different part of it. So
Part
I was
of the
there
mythos.
for that.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I just can't say enough about how well written this movie was, how well filmed it was. I mean, like I was saying earlier, and him mimicking Rocky and wanting to connect with Rocky the person, because that's always what made Rocky special. He was an everyman. But the idea of Donnie symbolically being, kicked out of Olympus and coming down to Philadelphia and training with Rocky is just such a great choice, man, because they could have easily had him angst the entire movie and hating Rocky, but to take this other direction and go that this is a guy that I connect with. I don't know what it is that I feel I connect with, but I know I should hate him, but all of the what I know about him, I connect with it.
And Rocky didn't know the guy even existed. He didn't even know he was alive. He had no idea that that Adonis Creed was around at all.
Yeah, but I mean, man, when he comes in, he is talking to Rocky. If you notice, he knows everything about Rocky.
Yeah.
He knows all of these things, but he's still asking questions about his dad. And again, that's what makes this so, like, really, it's such a great story, man, because he's asking all around all these people, like, well, who is my dad? What was he really as good? But when he gets to Rocky, he knows his entire story.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he asked him about the third fight, which is great. And
Yeah,
that's
great
the
Easter
third.
egg.
Yeah, right. The one that happened when they're in the gym by themselves and Apollo says ding ding. Yeah. For the third fight. What a great moment that was.
Yeah. I kept waiting for somebody to actually have the painting in their house. That's in
Yes.
screen. That would have been so funny to me.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
I have a friend that actually has that painting in his house, by the way.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a replica of the painting, of course.
Sure. That's very cool. I'm here for that. Yeah. We mentioned Duke earlier. Somehow this got past me, but Wood Harris, who portrays Tony Little Duke Evers,
Yes.
is one of Danny's assistant trainers, son of Apollo, then Rocky's trainer, Tony Duke Evans.
Yeah, I knew that. That he's basically Duke Jr., but that's also why he refused to train him.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Because he's like, I don't want nothing to do with that. I know your father's legacy with my father, and I'm not going to do that to Marianne.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. We've also got Richie Coster as Pete Sperino. He is fantastic. We don't see him a whole lot here. He could have been a typical, I'm going to be a fiend or a heel, and he really wasn't. But I thought he was really good. And then Brian Anthony Wilson as James. And that is basically your cast for this movie. Yeah, worth mentioning here that again, as we've been talking about the cast and talking about this film, that this is the first Rocky film that Stallone did not write, which I guess I knew that, but maybe didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Coogler penned the script along, as we said before, with Aaron Covington. They both consulted the star while developing the story in order to nail down Rocky's voice, which was absolutely the right choice.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He consulted on it, but he did not write. And if I remember correctly, that was part of the issue of why he didn't want to be a part of it. Because I have to assume for him, this is your baby. You've written every Rocky film, so he probably couldn't imagine a world of being in a quote unquote Rocky film that he did not pen.
Yeah, well, like you said, he's handing over his IP, the thing that put him on the map, made him a star.
Yeah. I believe he co-wrote the second Creed movie, right?
Maybe.
I think he did.
Yeah. Ray, the bit about him not writing this film honestly never really hit me until doing the notes for this, and I discovered it. But Ray, I don't sense a lot of separation here at all. The vibes are the same. I mean, it just feels like an updated version of a Rocky film to me.
Yeah, I really felt like it was just a continuation of the whole series, so to speak. And I didn't think they skipped a beat. It was different where it should have been different, but yet the same where it should have been the same.
Yeah.
And, Wood Harris, great actor. Above the Rim, fantastic movie.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, and Phil, to your point, you're right. The Creed 2, not directed by Coogler, is directed by Stephen Caple Jr., screenplay by Jewel Taylor and Sylvester Stallone, story by Sasha Penn and Cheo Coker. So there you go.
Yeah, if you recognize the name Cheo Coker, he, of course, was the voice behind the Luke Cage show.
Yes. Yeah. Well, by the way, kids, guess what we've covered in the archives? Go check it out. Luke Cage.
Yeah. If you have followed Cheo on social media, he has been hinting that he would very much like to do a season 3 of Luke Cage.
Oh, well, I'm hinting today officially. I'd love to see it. So, we don't have to get off on it, but we have made it clear on this show, as those actors have made it clear for years, we are down. We're down. Just, I'm waiting for the phone to ring. They've all said that because they had such a blast doing those shows before. So I'm here for it. Love to see Luke Cage back in the saddle, so to speak. What's cool is that when Adonis comes out, he comes out to Hail Mary by Tupac. And a rumor going around, guys, have you heard the rumor supposedly that he could be the one to play Tupac in a biopic? Has that been made official, or is that still just a rumor?
I did not hear that,
I
and
did not hear that either.
we've had a Tupac biopic. We've had multiple people play Tupac at this point. I think we can leave it alone. I think we can stop making Tupac movies.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I'm with that, honestly, because George's not getting any younger, and I think you kind of have to have a guy that. I mean, you can cast another actor as a younger version. I guess that would be fine, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I think at some point, age begins to become a factor when you're talking about casting an actress for a biopic, man.
Yeah. I mean, I also, of course, like the touch that, of course, Donnie would be a Tupac fan. He's from California.
Oh, dude, for sure. Yeah, good call. And great song to come out too as well. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're definitely going to have to cover parts 2 and 3 here because I'm definitely here for it. This is, again, I kind of forgot how much I enjoy this this movie.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, speaking of music, the music in this movie is fantastic.
It
I
is,
think
right?
the score is so good. Um, the theme they use from is so great. It has its similarities to the Rocky theme, but it feels like its own thing. It feels, big and like triumphant. It's fantastic.
It is. Yeah. The Roots is on that soundtrack. John Legend's on the soundtrack. Meek Mill, as you said, is on it.
Yeah. We get the Bridging the Gap record, Nas and his father that plays when Donnie first starts training with Rocky. I thought that was a great choice.
Mm-hmm. Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. I'm here for that, buddy. I tell you, I'm here for that, man. Yeah.
Don't forget Wake Up Everybody.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, and Childish Gambino's on here, which I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah, there's some bangers in there.
Yeah. Great soundtrack. Yeah, and man, I'm talking about this movie like it just came out, but it's cool. Sometimes we do these shows where I'll go back and watch a film I hadn't watched in a while, and it kind of feels like a pair of fresh eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm kind of just reminded, yeah, remember Tom how you loved this movie 10 years ago? Well, it's still awesome,
Yeah. It easily couldn't have worked when we do get the Rocky theme in the fight at the end.
Yes.
But I think it feels earned because you didn't hear it for the entire movie. So when he does have his moment of like attempting his last ditch effort of winning, it hits harder because it's over the Rocky theme. And by the way, great choice to have Donnie lose the fight. Having
Yes.
him lose his first championship fight was the right call.
For sure. Ray, you agree with that?
100%. Having him lose just kind of like put the cherry on top. I didn't want to see him win that first one.
Yeah.
And it's a parallel to the first Rocky too, as well.
Yes. But it's also, again, this theme of the entire movie. What are you fighting for? I fought to get here, but I'm not done. I'm going to keep coming back until I'm champion.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, this is more of him just proving that he could get there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And man, that bit at the end when he's out. I mean, he is out. In a real world boxing match, they're counting him down. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, he does that. It's like a zombie coming back from the dead. That grunt, dude, that will put chills on you, man. What a great moment that was.
Yeah, I believe is that the first time we see footage of Apollo at that point, other than on screens.
I think so. Yeah, because we'd seen it on screens throughout the film, here and there, clips of him. But yeah, that was maybe the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kicked this show off talking about how sports movies could get you. Boxing movies are really good at this because Cinderella Man is one of my favorite films of all time. And it's based on a real life story. But like, if you guys have seen it, but he's down, it's over. And he has a vision of his kids. And it makes him get back up. And man, it's hard to watch. It's great to watch, but it's so emotional. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here for it. I love movies like this, man.
Yeah.
So why are we suckers for movies like this? Why do these films work as well as they do, you think?
Because we were always, no matter what, always rooting for the underdog, always rooting for the comeback. You always want to see the guy that's down rise up to, you know, to greatness at some point during the movie. You know, there's been so many great movies like this, sports movies in particular. And, you know, it just touches you. It touches you. You know, Cuba Gooding and Jerry Maguire. That still touches my soul when I see that movie, when he gets hurt and he hears the fans cheering his name and he gets up when you think he may be paralyzed. Like, those little moments are just like what makes sports movies so good.
What favorite sports movie, Ray? You have one, or is it tough?
Wow. Favorite sports movie.
It's too tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough. That's tough.
Miracle is another great movie, by the way. The hockey movie with Kurt Russell. Fantastic.
There's a movie that you probably don't know with Ricky Schroeder called The Champ.
Oh, dude, I know The Champ. Who you talking about?
That is a movie. The Champ is that's gut wrenching.
Oh my God. Phil, you know the movie?
I don't.
Oh man, it's late 70s, Ray, I guess.
Yeah,
mid
late 70s.
Yeah. And you know, I saw it as a kid.
Yeah,
terrible idea. Terrible idea.
Terrible
because
idea.
You know, I lost my dad at a very young age. I saw this film at a young age. The boxer dies on the table with his son holding his hand. I just about can't talk about it. It will rip your effing soul out of your body, man. It's crazy. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, Phil, it just, I don't know, man. Something about these movies just gets you. I think the moment these movies can't tap into that, whether it's emotion or it's a feeling of loss, or, you know, there's father and son dynamic playing out in this film big time. I mean, that's why these work, don't they? The math isn't hard, is it?
No, because again, the Rocky films are not about Rocky being this great fighter, and I mean, of course, the fight scenes and the sports aspect of it are great, but you connect with Rocky the character. That's what people love. I mean, any other sports movie you want to name, Rudy, all of these other sports characters, you connect with that character more than like anything else.
I mean, you know, all the way back to the first Rocky, nobody wanted to make this movie. I mean, and they wanted someone else to play Rocky. And Stallone's like, I'm the only guy that's going to play Rocky. I wrote this, I'm playing it. And that movie should not have worked. That movie should never have worked. Movie probably shouldn't have been made because everybody told him no. But he believed in it, believed in himself. And like, again, I don't really want to put this guy over considering what's happening in 2025. All right. But
I mean, great actor.
yes.
Great. I mean, his impact on action films and sports movies, you know, is unquestioned. You know, of course, you know, we don't always have to separate, you know, the artist from their art, but he's done so much that it's hard not to give him his credit.
Very hard. Yeah.
Tom, aren't eggs 15 cents? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not going there. It's become a different podcast real quick. But yeah, I just with everything that's happening in the world right now, like I know it sounds hokey because a movie's not going to save anybody, but you know, sometimes it's good to disconnect and watch stuff that makes you feel good instead of the rest of the country, which is making me feel horrible. You know, and things aren't here to make us feel good, folks. You know, that's not how the world works. It's not here to spin in the direction you want it to spin in. But that's why, you know, guys like us and a lot of other people out there are fans of silly pro wrestling and silly action movies and silly comic book movies, because none of it's real and it can just be escapism, and we can just feel good about stuff for a while. And I'll quit soapboxing now. It is my show, darn it.
Yeah, I mean, this movie gives you so much to feel good about. I mean, just the character of Marianne. We see Marianne in the Rocky franchise, but we don't get that much character development. But the strength it had to take, knowing, you know, that your husband, who's not here, that you're still grieving over, had an illegitimate kid, and she could have just let him just rot in that hole and end up getting stuck in the system, and she saved his life. She
She did,
saved
yeah.
that kid's life and gave him a better way of life, man. And everything she does throughout the movie is kind of like she's really like the unspoken hero of this movie.
Yeah, she is.
Kind of. I mean, even when she's talking to him and he's telling her, "I want to fight," and she's like telling her everything she went through with Apollo, and I'm not gonna be here for that with you. And he still fights anyway, and she still supports him anyway. I mean, that's another part of the movie where I teared up when she sends him to Trunks with his real last name on the back.
Oh,
Oh, that was
so
touching.
wonderful. So wonderful. And Stallone wanted that to happen. He asked for the Trunks to be in the movie. What a great pull. Yeah, man, it's not the same. Well, when he wore them
Yeah.
against Drago and Rocky Four, it's hard. It's emotional because you're like, oh my god, he's wearing them. It's so cool, man. Yeah, I'm a big kid when it comes to this stuff, man. I can't help it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the note that comes with it, of course, create your own legacy, Ma.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Yeah. We said that Tessa Thompson and Michael B. Jordan are part of the MCU. We kind of forgot, or maybe we didn't forget. We just didn't mention Stallone is also part of the MCU.
He is.
Yeah. So pretty cool. It's these days hard to not be a part of the MCU because it's just so massive, been going for so many years, and they've hired so many great actors. Yeah. This is also a lot of firsts here, kids. This is the first film in the Rocky saga with a 2.391 aspect ratio. So that's different. The guy who did the score that we praised earlier is actually only the third person to score a Rocky film at all, which is a pretty big deal. And yeah, again, a lot of firsts here, as we talked about before. Ludwig Göransson, that's the composer's name. He follows Bill Conti, who did 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Rocky Balboa, and Vince DiCola, who did Rocky 4, excuse me. Bill Conti did 1, 2, 3, and 5. And Vince DiCola did Rocky 4.
I did not realize that Ludwig did the score to this, but that makes sense because Ludwig, of course, worked on Black Panther with Coogler as well. He did that score.
Great.
And you mentioned Childish Gambino. He's worked a lot with Childish Gambino. I believe he did some of the music for Atlanta. He's definitely worked with him on his album. So, yeah, I guess once I thought about that, yeah, of course Ludwig was involved.
That Black Panther movie is that's I mean, of course the movie is a freaking amazing film, but that soundtrack is equally great.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah. This is Sylvester Stallone's 7th appearance as Rocky Balboa, and the first film in the Rocky saga, we'll call it a saga, to be distributed by Warner Brothers. And it's the first one in the saga to not have Rocky's name in the title. So again, it's a different day, kids. It's a new day. Yes, it is. And we're moving on to Creed and everything. So, Ray, I'll ask you this before I ask Phil. In your opinion, I mean, could this potentially just keep moving forward? Could we go to Creed's son in 10 years? Could we go to, you know what I mean? How far can we keep this going? I guess it depends on whether or not the temperature's right and the audiences want to see it. But do you think this could continue far into the future?
It really depends on the writing, the direction. I definitely could see Creed himself fighting again, in like a almost like a Rocky 4 type of thing where he just comes out of retirement just to prove, revenge something, But yeah, the legacy could continue. If they get the right, storyline and the right writing, yeah, 100%.
Phil, what do you think? You think that the Creed story just needs to be done and then move on to the next project, or you think this has some legs for the future?
I mean, I think that part of the recreating this character and starting a spinoff is a way to keep the Creed name alive and allow Donnie to write his own legacy. I believe they hinted at stuff for Rocky Creed 4 and at the end of Creed 3 where his daughter's in the ring and she's showing hints that she wants to be a fighter.
That would be a whole different kind of movie right there, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if that's finite, but I thought that that's what they were hinting at.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Well, that kids, that might do us here for us. I mean, it's we've gushed over this film for an hour, which I think it deserves because it's a freaking great film, and again, managed to do something that many franchises they sure took a swing and they sure missed because, well, to to be fair, Phil, it's hard to do
It is.
this right, like just to get this thing to the point of getting Stallone to say yes. And then dude, if this were easy, franchises would never die. They would just but this is not an easy thing to do, to keep a story, but evolve it at the same time.
Yeah, and such an iconic franchise like Rocky, it just
Mm,
rarely works to do a spinoff of it.
yeah, for sure. Well, kids, there you have it. There's Creed. And you can expect to hear parts 2 and 3 because we're probably going to cover them. And for as many details and trivia and stuff we gave you, there's probably just as much we haven't. But we encourage you to go watch the film. If you haven't ever seen it, we just blew the whole thing for you. You're welcome. And if you have watched it, go watch it again and then come back and listen to the show again. We'd appreciate it, but stay tuned for parts 2 and 3. Ray, before we go, let's get your last word on Creed.
Fantastic movie, great writing. Felicia Rashad is so underrated, but she did a phenomenal job. She's the strongest mother I've seen out there. And, the cast and everything, and the fact that, Jordan learned sign language for the movie, and it just really authenticated the movie. I thought it was fantastic. And you had real boxers in that movie, Andre Ward, etc. Just like I said, 2 thumbs up. Can't say enough good things about that movie.
Phil, what do you think?
Really great movie. Donnie just works so great as a protagonist, and I think that's really the selling point of this movie. The Rocky movies work for all of these, various reasons, but this movie hits if you're a father, if you're a son, if you've ever lost anybody, it just works on so many levels.
It really does. Again, can't say enough good things about it. It's a fantastic film. And I'm anxious to tackle parts 2 and 3, to go back and kind of, again, I watched this with a fresh set of eyes, kids, like I'd never seen the freaking movie before. But, not to get off on a tangent at the end, but this is what happens when, and I'm not complaining, when you have so many options for entertainment now. Like, if you told 15-year-old me that one day I could just touch a button and watch any film that I wanted to watch, I would say, you're out of your freaking mind, man. And number one. Number two, how soon can we make it happen? But like, while I love digital media and I love options, there's moments when there'll be an entire series. I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot about this show. So I guess there's drawbacks to anything, I suppose. But yeah, that again, kids, that's the price you pay for evolution, especially when it comes to technology. So nobody's complaining. I'm not complaining. Everybody calm down. And yeah, well, look, that's what we got for you. We appreciate everybody for listening, for sharing the show, for following on all the channels. Thanks much for that, for catching us on the YouTube and all the podcast platforms. We'll be back real soon with another episode, so check us out. Every Tuesday, you can expect a new show to drop like clockwork, and we're heading up. The numbers get bigger and bigger, and we're never going to run out of stuff to talk about, which is a good thing. So stay tuned for that and a lot more. But for now, that is Creed. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Check out our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 6M Podcast. We'll see you next time.